Give me 1 second because I'll be here. 3, 2, 1. Hello. I haven't spoken to you, or myself, rather. This is so much fun. In quite a bit of time. Um, I don't really know why exactly, but I think it was just because I needed some time to reflect. I think I get to these points where I do need to talk like this, um, because I've had enough time to sort of reflect and sort of look at myself, at my life, at who I am, what I am, um, and yeah, um, I would like to talk about today about synchronicity and about um, how synchronicity has become such a big part of my life and how intertwined it is with awareness, right? So I feel like awareness, not only is it important to be aware of, of course, what people think or the world around you or all these things, but it's important to be aware of your actions, your values, your just who you are and how you act and interact in the world. Um, let's say, for example, I don't know, different ways of reacting to situations that might not be, let's say, the best, and you become aware of that through awareness, right? Um, but what I did want to talk about was how I had this experience in India, right? Where prior to me going to India, I felt like spiritually, in my heart, in my soul, in my body, I felt like I was right all the way up here, right? I felt like I was learning and studying and reading and meditating and talking to people and listening to podcasts and doing all these things, right? That for me felt like I became more aware of the world around me, of my purpose, of life, basically. And I felt like India was like the final boss. Like you go there if you feel like you're gonna go into some real deep shit. So I went to India, and the moment that I got to India, a lot of coincidences, synchronicities happened that kind of brought this belief, this spiritual belief of mine, closer to me, right? Um, One of those was that I was in Mayapur and I was helping to basically put these like flower, I don't even know what they are, like tiaras or something like that. Um, and it was myself and like hundreds of people in a massive, massive hall. And we were all sitting there, all doing that. But before I even sat down, I get into the room, and this lady that I know tells me, "Hey, look, if you could go help the lady right over there in the corner, because she's the only one that needs help, right? The other ones also need help, but my girlfriend, for example, was directed to this other person, and I was just directed there. So I go to that person, and I go and I sit next to her, and we start doing it, putting like the pearls into the strings and blah, blah, all of these things. We start talking. Not only is she from the same place that I am from, like quite literally from the same place. Okay, she's by the way like in her 50s, or yeah, I think maybe like mid 50s or something like that. Not only that, but a lot of what I felt like I was believing, but I didn't necessarily have, like, for example, what I was believing was that, we are in a way one, right? It's me and you and the air that I breathe, and the sound of my voice, and all of it, it's connected. Everything is just connected, right? Um, and she also believed that. But the way that it happened, the fact that in this room of hundreds of people in this like a random place in India, okay, for me to be put to sit next to this person who's literally from the same place that I'm from, believes the same things that I believe, and that was like on the second day that I'm there. And it was insane. Like that just is like inexplicable. And for the rest of the trip, I like went and I was invited. Me and my girlfriend were invited to her her house, and they made lunch for us, and we spoke and we sat together and we shared stories, and it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. It was like it was something that kind of happened in such a unique way, right? But more than that, in India, I was told that manifestations, right? How I tell myself, I really want this thing to happen, right? In India, in the real world, it takes maybe, I don't know, weeks, months, maybe, sometimes years for that to happen. In India, on the other hand, it takes like hours to sometimes minutes, maximum a day, I think. Maximum a day, which is crazy. Um, there are a lot of sort of synchronicities with my girlfriend's dad as well. Um, about how there was this like one song, this like George Harrison song, um, "My Sweet Lord," and there was a part of that like where he says the Hare Krishna, um, and then the day we get back to London, I think it was maybe either that day, that evening, or the day after. We went to Tesco because we didn't have any food at home. We get into Tesco, which, by the way, that Tesco, they only play like the shittiest fucking like Katy Perry, Taylor Swift type shit. No offense to them. I like literally don't give a fuck. But I don't like their music at all. In any case, they only play that. Like, only play that. We get into there, into that Tesco, and somehow the moment that we step in, the song that plays is the Hare Krishna part of My Sweet Lord by George Harrison. Like that shit is inexplainable. Like it's incredible. Incredible. So for me that felt like a kind of a sign that, you know, with this situations, for example, everything's okay. Everything is under control. There's a sort of feeling that I think there's been this phrase that I've been using quite a lot this past month or month and a half, which is safety net. And I feel like this belief of a higher power, of of purpose, of this sort of like spiritual belief or also religious belief, you could say. It's it's this feeling of like feeling cozy, feeling comfortable. But more than that, it's the feeling of a safety net, of that no matter what, it's okay. No matter what, it's gonna work out for you in however way it will. That even if now it feels like everything is going bad and shit, and you know, maybe you don't feel like you're succeeding in life, you're not earning enough, you're not being enough, it's gonna be okay. Like it will be okay. And that belief, that feeling, that kind of like sensation is very, very much comforting to feel like everything is going to be okay. So for me, when these synchronicities happened, and in the way that they happened, there was this kind of like feeling that it's so out of my control that I've got nothing to worry about. Not only do I have nothing to worry about, it's okay. This person is okay. I'm okay. This world that the world that I'm in, right? My reality is okay. Everything is fine. Nothing is gonna happen to me. And even if it does, I'm going to be okay. That safety net will always be there. And even if that safety net that's in my mind rips, there's still a safety net underneath that safety net. So I'm just gonna grab a sweet here. Sour cherry. Mamma mia! Gabagool! Nice. Yeah, and so one of the places that we went to in India was Mayapur. Mayapur was just like an incredible place. You know how you always hear these people talk about how when I'm old and I retire, I want to be in this place where there's like just massive fields. I don't have to do anything. Sit back, relax. Everything is cool and like there's a massive farm and the sun and it's warm and blah blah. Mayapur is that times 5. And after Mayapur, we went to Vrindavan, which is like one of the holiest places in India because that's the birthplace of Krishna. So we went there, and that's where I actually experienced like the real India. Because Mayapur is very much like there are quite a lot of white people. So let's say it's quite westernized and what I'm used to in a way. I go to Vrindavan, and that's the real India. Second I get there, I'm like, what the fuck? There are like sadhus sleeping on the streets. There are people who are literally like, it's like they're doing push-ups. They're like going all over Vrindavan on their feet, and they just like they take a step and then they go all the way down on the floor, touch their foreheads on the floor, and then bam, back up, another step, bam, back down. They do that the whole of Mayapur. Oh, sorry, the whole of Vrindavan, which is insane, right? But it's for their devotion. They're devoting themselves to this belief, to this cause, to this, you know, the supreme entity, let's say. But I get there, and the second I get there, I'm like, this is a fucking shithole. I hate this place. I fucking hate this. What the hell? There are monkeys all over the fucking rooftops. My girlfriend tells me, don't make eye contact with them because they'll remember you. And not only will they remember you, when you come out of the house again, if you don't have food to give them, or matzah is this like drink that they like, they love. Okay, if you don't have that, they'll come and they'll attack you. They'll be like, imagine me. I'm like, what the fuck? Then on the streets there are like dogs that are. The dogs are crazy. The dogs are fucking like they're like human beings. It's really weird. There are cows all over the place. There's just noise and people and just it's insane. It's insanity. And I say and I tell my girlfriend, this place is a fucking shithole. She's like, be careful what you say because place is very holy. When you talk shit about a place that's holy, it's gonna strike back. I was like, yeah, right. So we go to a restaurant. And I was like, I'm gonna get a salad to be safe, right? So we get a salad. And my girlfriend gets some noodles, and we eat it. And then we go see some cows, and everything is nice, everything is good. And then my girlfriend makes me laugh, and I just like chuckle, and I chuckle, and I shit myself. And I'm in shock that I shat myself. And in my mind, there are 2 realizations. The first is, fuck, I shat myself. The second realization is like, damn, I've been hit hard by Vrindavan. So then I tell her that I shit myself. We get back to the flat or to the apartment, whatever. And for 2 nights and 2 days, I'm in bed. I don't eat anything. All I do is I drink water with some electrolytes. I go and I poop and I puke. And I poop and I puke and I sleep and I drink. And that's all I do. There's nothing more that I do. I basically get like knocked the fuck out. So for me, that was kind of like a not a wake up call, but that was like a fuck. Okay, so maybe there is this thing happening. Anyway, another sour cherry. So then we go and have different sort of classes at the temple. I see different people. I talk to different people. There are different spiritual masters, let's say, that come there and talk, share their beliefs and their knowledge, let's say. But none of them make me feel like I'm understanding. Not understanding, but like it makes sense. So wishy-washy. So all over the place. So then I feel like my belief, my spiritual belief, is like getting detached from me. It's like pulling me away. And I get to a point that I'm like, what do I even believe in? Because what I believe in is getting mocked here. Not only is it getting mocked here, but it feels like it's not, that's just not what they believe in. So then we meet this guy who is like a close, not relative, but friend to my girlfriend's mom. This guy that she's known for like years. And he proposes that he's gonna take us for a little tour around this like really nice temple. This random guy, right? And I see him and we talk. And for the first time in Vrindavan, somebody understands how I feel. Somebody understands what I think. And not only do they understand that, they help explain to me their beliefs and their perception and the way that they see God, the way they see purpose, their answers to what is the point? What is my point of being here? What's the purpose of doing all of this if I'm anyway gonna die? Or there's all this fucking shit that's happening in the world. Like Epstein, like fucking wars and fucking all the shit that's happening. You know, but he really opens my eyes to all of these stories that are in Hinduism. Like, for example, about Maya. Maya being this sort of like entity that kind of like surrounds, let's say, right? Surrounds our world, right? And if you would take it into the like, if you would take it into this sort of like filmmaking, okay, she would be the scriptwriter, right? Should be the playwright, should be the dramaturg. That's what she would be. And Krishna would be the director. And we are the actors. And that's how our life is. Yeah, I don't know. Now, now I'm thinking about talking to him again, seeing what he says, because I'm just curious to see maybe there's something that I can get answers to, something I can learn that maybe I didn't learn before. But yeah, I don't really know what else to talk about. Um, I did start going to therapy. Um, the therapist is absolutely amazing. She's absolutely an incredible person to talk to open up to, and like, she's just a really good listener too. The last video I posted, it got interrupted because I think there was a delivery that came through the door or something. So I had to go open the door. But I was talking about death and how there's this how that feels. How that really feels. Especially when somebody that you don't necessarily know. Like for example Kobe Bryant for me. Right? Which funnily enough, like I didn't know that I was gonna talk about this. I didn't know I was gonna do this video, right? But falling in line with synchronicity, which is fucking crazy. In this closet over here, right? This one over there, this one, okay. I've got a couple of Kobe Bryant shirts, but it's like March, and why the hell would I wear them? It's cold. Yeah, there's a sunny day here and there, but like it's fairly cold most of the time. But I decided today in the morning, maybe I should wear a Kobe Bryant shirt. And I convinced myself out of it. But I left it just over here on my table, on my desk. Somehow, I left it here. Even though everything else is like tidy and is in my closet. But somehow, this Kobe Bryant shirt, this is here. After now me trying to like talk about it. Anyway, synchronicity. This is what I mean. Why did that happen? Why, it's not a big synchronicity, nothing like too much of a coincidence or whatever, but it does happen in this way. Maybe the Holy Trinity. You know how they talk about basically the yin and yang and Tao. Maybe there's a third element, third thing to it, and that is synchronicity. Carl Jung spoke about that very much. He made it kind of his like life mission to prove that this is true. And he basically got to the conclusion that it's impossible to prove. There's this whole thing that happened with Mark Twain, right? Where Mark Twain, the day Mark Twain was born, there was this sort of like meteor that only every 75 years it would fly above the earth, right? And on the 21st, I think it was 21st of April 1910, Mark Twain died, right? He died of a heart attack. But the way that he died was that, and what's so crazy, was that he died exactly after the meteor passed Earth again. 75 years later. And before he died, he said that I came in on this earth with this, I don't remember how, Heller's something, Heller's meteor or something like that. And it would be a shame if I don't. And I think that God or the creator will, you know, propel me into that. And I think it would be a shame if that doesn't happen. And it did. It did. How is that not a coincidence? How is that not something like a synchronicity? How? It's just it's and that's what's so crazy, that it's impossible to explain. And it's impossible to explain because not everybody pays attention. How many times in a day, in a week, in a month do you say, "Oh, that's a coincidence. Oh, what a funny coincidence." Talking about that, again today, I'm at work, right? At the coffee shop. And before that coffee shop, there was a fish and chips shop for like ages. But for the past 2 years, there's been this coffee shop there. This lady and her friend come into our shop, our store. They have food, they drink, whatever, have the time of their lives. And then, as they go to pay and stuff, they're like, "Oh, this is not the fish and chip shop. You used to work at the fish and chip shop?" And I'm like, "No, no, no." She's like, "Oh, why do you have?" And I was wearing this like sweater that had fishbone written on it. She's like, "Because you're wearing the fishbone shirt." And I'm like, "No, no, that's just a funny coincidence." She's like, "Yeah, what a coincidence, bitch. Like, what the fuck? You know, these things happen again in a way that is inexplicable. Why did the coincidence have to happen how it happened for me to then realize that it's a coincidence, for me to then get back home, for me to then watch a video on YouTube about synchronicity, to me then now deciding to make this video talking about synchronicity? How does that happen? Isn't that synchronicity in itself? Please explain. Whoever knows. If anybody knows, please talk to me. Please, I need the help. I'm joking. But that's something that's literally inexplainable. And not only is it inexplainable, to me, it feels like if ever if ever there would be like a conclusion to that, then there would be no point to live anymore. Because I feel like that's the answer. That is what is on the other side, on like behind the veil. I wrote this story some time ago, and I've never completed that story. But this story that I had in my mind was about how this person dies, and the only way for them to communicate is through coincidences, right? To the other side. So that person is dead, like a ghost, but the only way for them to communicate with people who are alive is through coincidences. So, like, for example, you go into a Tesco and you hear the fucking like Hare Krishna song playing. When in Tesco, they never play anything like that, even remotely like that. I've been to that Tesco hundreds of times and it's never happened. And yet, that coincidence happens because like there's a communication that is trying to happen. And that's the only way to communicate. The only way to communicate is through synchronicity, through coincidences. But how will you know? You don't. You only know when you're on the other side. It's like in Interstellar, how they're basically like, it's all gravity. What is gravity? Gravity is love. What is love? Love is family. Right? But that's all, in a way, a loop. And because it's a loop, it's like synchronicity. But it's not. You know? Like Cooper, I think that's the name of the character. Cooper, at the end of the movie, he's there behind the bookshelf, and he's like, no, no, Murph, no, and then like the books fall and whatever, and then it's like, oh my god, at the start of the film, like early on in the film, all these books fall. Why the fuck did they fall? Ah, ah, you get it? Good, bravo. Um, yeah. I sometimes realize I have a bit too much fun with myself. Like I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying spending time with myself. I think I'm a cool person. I think I think I'd spend time with myself. It's not like I can ever, detach myself from this body or kind of be like that's the sound of me turning off like the this whatever is in here at and in here and kind of detaching and being like, now I'm my own entity living my own life. I'm gonna come back, you know. But that's what Severance, the TV show, is basically about. Life imitates art, or art imitates life. Um, but that's what synchronicity is about. And I think it's very important to become aware of this in our lives. I think it's very important to be mindful and kind of like open your eyes to when those things happen. Who knows? Maybe I might start like writing them down on my phone. Whenever that happens, be like, I got it. I got it. This is a sign. This is something there that's, pay attention to it. Why did this happen? How did this happen? Okay, what are the steps to that? And we'll all line up just perfectly. And it will make sense just like a movie. The narrative will play out. And then the conclusion will be here, and you'll be happy, and you'll be satisfied because all of that will make sense. See how I did that? Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I think I'm gonna continue doing this and talking and opening up and showing up for myself. Because this is what it is, showing up for myself. In any case, I will love you and I will leave you. I hope you have a great day. I hope you fucking seize the day and fucking you freaking fucking yeah, life is good. It's important to be aware. Synchronicity is right here in our hands. It's important to when we see it. Apart from that, thank you very much. Have a good day. I love you, and I'll see you.